Hello and welcome back to the channel for another skid steer video. In the previous video, I got the motor mounts mostly fabricated and test fitted in with the engine, and it seemed to be okay for the most part. The goal for this one is to get the inside of this compartment clean. It's quite dirty. It's going to be a pretty aggressive cleaning, as well as fixing a few hydraulic leaks and a few other things that I want to have done before the engine goes back in. Now, I'm really not too sure how far I'm going to get on this video. We'll see. I guess that maybe the title will say how far I got, but there's really not that much left to do on this machine before it's functional again, which is pretty exciting because I have a lot of work for it to do. So with all that said, let's get right to it. All right, so first thing first, I found this in the last video. There's this hose is about done for. There's a huge worn out area on it. So we need to get these fittings ordered now because it usually takes a week or so. And unfortunately, this is one of the hoses that just kind of goes off and disappears in the big pile of goo down below. Now let's see what we need. I think it's probably going to be a right angle. So just to catch you up what's going on here, this hose right here, if you see it's all shiny, that's the hose that comes out of the hydraulic tank. It's all shiny, and I think it's because it's been leaking forever. So the hydraulic fluid's just been going down in here and collecting dirt, and it just formed into a giant, it's probably 6 inches thick layer of just goo. I mean, you can see, can you see? I don't know if you can see that, but it's deep. Okay, I got my wrench on the fitting there. It's just really hard to get in here, but so that size. It's most likely going to be an O-ring face fitting, since everything else on this machine is. Yeah, this pilot control looks like it's been leaking pretty bad. This thing is pretty crusty. Does this come off? Now, someone's been in here before. We're missing a few screws. It's actually leaking above the lines. We might need to get a new boot here. This thing is hard as a rock. Yeah, someone's definitely had this off before. It almost looks like it's been leaking out of the seals up here, which is fine. That's easy to fix. Ooh. Okay. See if these are, oh, see, I shouldn't have taken those bolts out. These are O-ring face as well. Yep. Well, look at that. These are already colored. Yellow, green and blue. What's holding this thing back from coming out? It's like there's, oh, hidden bolts here. There's another one over here. this. There doesn't really seem to be a trick to this. I got the joystick rotated 90 degrees here, so I can kind of access the ports in the back. But I don't know if there's a way to get this thing out of here after that. Guess we'll find out. Come on out. There we go. This thing's definitely been leaking for a while though. Alright, I found the secret here. So right between those two wires, there's that little plastic indent. I thought that was just covering up a bolt. It's for these bolts right here. This is what holds that plastic on. That's better. There we go. While it's fresh in our mind here, maybe we should take a quick peek at this one, because it looks like I do see a little bit of moisture, some kind of fluid coming out. So maybe this one's on its way out as well. This boot's a lot less hard. Oh, yeah, it's still bad though. That actually looks pretty good. I looked at this one pretty close, and this is actually just dirt and kind of water, moisture mixed in here. It doesn't really seem to be leaking, so I'm going to leave this one be. I am going to replace this boot though. I got that on order. Okay, there's a couple bolts hidden in there. Three bolts holding that on. Now this thing's coming up with this and the foot pedal. How's that going to work? Taking this out of the way. Ugh. Oh, there we go. Making some kind of progress. Can you just stay? Stay. No, come on. Ooh. Mouse nest. And a cigarette butt. Let's see. So something's connected to this. Hopefully it's just wiring. I can't see. Oh, there we go. That's something. Oh yeah, we got some kind of connector down here. So this is the electrical line right here, and it runs under this hydraulic line. So it's catching when you try to pull it out. I guess it's just wrapped around. And that was the problem. How far out can we get this now? How hard is this to get out? All right, this would be, well, I was going to say ECM, but this is obviously the computer to control hydraulic stuff. So we'll have to unplug that either here or there. I think it looks like it may be easier to unplug down there. So then we also got this cable here. I'm assuming this is the throttle cable. And then the foot pedal and the lever over here both control it. See a pin or anything. How is that in there? There's a hole for a pin, but it's like the cotter pin's gone. All right. This is just going to want to bend, isn't it? We get lucky and burn this thing down, and then I'll just collect insurance on it. Try not to get the wiring. It's glowing. Try not to breathe that in. Sometimes if you quench it with penetrating oil, it pulls it in. What's that called? Capillary action. I don't want to bend this bracket. Oh, it is? Did it go down? I think it went down a little bit. Got it. Ooh, this lever is still hot. Of course, that one's bent over and you can't. It's 11/16. Why wouldn't it be? Seems like the US stuff always has just a couple imperial fasteners just sprinkled in randomly. There we go. There we go. Okay. We'll want to put a plastic baggie or something around this connector because we don't want it to get wet or messed up. Out we go! It's heavy! Ugh. Feel a little more positive after looking in here because it's everything is reachable and cleanable mostly, except for under the pump, which takes up about half the machine. But I mean, there's really actually not that much down there. You see that hole right there? So that's that hole in the front. And I think what you're supposed to do when you know, if you're actually cleaning this machine and maintaining it, is you pressure wash, or you wash from the back, and kind of everything's kind of supposed to go out through that hole. It's at the lowest point on the frame, I think, or maybe it goes that way. I don't know. But anyway, it's going to be a lot of washing. I think I'm going to try to dig some of this out just to get the big stuff out. Oh, man. Maybe it's deeper than I thought. This thing is going to be rusted like crazy down here, I bet. That little front hole has a cover on it. I forgot to mention, but both of the bolts that hold that on were rusted out. So there's definitely been a lot of moisture sitting down here for a while. Fortunately, it's heavy equipment, so it... Oh, wait a second. Look at that. Fresh paint. That's encouraging. I was going to say it's heavy equipment, so it's a little thicker than a car. Sheet metal on a car, but we might be... what is this? What's that? Man, there's all kinds of stuff in here. What is this? Ooh. There's liquid in it. What do I do? Do I open it? Kind of have to. Starbucks. Yeah, I'm not going to open that. What in the... What is this? Ow! It's like a book covered in grease. It's like stuck under the drive motor. Oh my gosh, the smell. Oh, oh, that's gonna be. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Now this is the easy part, by the way. Back here is the same amount of dirt, actually more dirt, and it's completely soaked in with hydraulic fluid and hardened. So I see a lot of people in the comments always telling me to use a hot water pressure washer to get really hard packed on grease off. So I figured I'd give that a shot. I rented one over here, which these are not cheap to rent. I think the burner raises the temperature up by like 120 degrees. And so I could probably start with a baseline of, you know, kind of warm water using the hot water heater in there. And then we can hopefully get this up to about 200 degrees. I think that's the max it can do before it's kind of limits itself. And actually, before I get started here, I got the GoPro out so I can get into a smaller space, just do a better before video of what it looks like in here. So like really down there, it's about 6 inches deep, and you can see just these hydraulic lines just kind of disappear into the mud. So I have no idea what's in there, and it's just stacked up everywhere. Really very dirty. Then there's like in there, I think like counterweights or something maybe go in there, but there's just a pocket full of dirt there and over there, and it's just caked on. We'll look in here. I did clean out some of it over there already, obviously, but it's pretty nasty. I ain't gonna lie. So anyway, let's get this thing fired up and give it a shot. I'm expecting big things. The thing's pretty heavy. I'll just leave it here. Like this. This is a 50-foot hose. It should be good enough to reach. What? Is this a joke? They got the hose. They gave me the wrong hose. You've got to be kidding me. So they had two hoses that they offered. I'm assuming it's more to get both of them, but basically there was the main hose and then an extension hose. I'm assuming they gave me the extension hose. Well, unfortunately, I don't have the right adapter to go from that to that. So I'm gonna have to run to the store. But this thing's in the back of my truck, so I'm gonna have to strap it back down. So I knew Home Depot was gonna be kind of a long shot, but I did go and I didn't really find what I needed. So I had to wait till today, and I went back and they just gave me this. They couldn't find the actual correct hose. That's fine. I got to keep this thing over the weekend at least. Oh, the flies on there. I had to stop there and pick up my kids from school, but you know, I really definitely lucked out on this hose debacle because there's no way I would have been able to get this done in an evening. It needs to be gone over a bunch more to get it really clean. I get it for 4 days for basically the same price now. So looks like I burned some paint off the drive motor there, but you can kind of see bottom. It's just this area is really sludgy still, but everything else is coming off. Some of that's like rust. That's just the paint's gone there. And it is, I mean, it is coming off. A lot of stuff like in here, this is kind of the spots where once it's all clean, I'm gonna have to come back and clean all this stuff out. I think one thing I need to do though is it's tilted back and I want it to tilt forward because I think it's naturally just supposed to drain out through this front drain. And basically what's happening is it goes back, all the water's trying to come back, and then it's just this step down right here is where it's getting trapped, all the dirt and crap. So I wonder what that little gray tank is down there. That should work. Got pretty far last night. We'll look in here. So down here, there's just a bunch of goop. I'm just gonna scoop this stuff out because basically when I spray in here, it just gets sprayed back, and then I spray from there and it gets sprayed forward again. So, but it's looking pretty good in there. I think I got a lot of it out. There's this stuff which I just need to scoop out too because this just flies up everywhere. This is the kind of stuff I was dealing with. This was basically what was in there. It was just hard packed. I think this is just like gravel and dirt, and it's just really hard to deal with. This is all stuff that I washed out through the front. So I'm gonna shovel this stuff and throw it away. I'm not gonna just wash that into the bushes. This is all needs to go to the landfill. There we go. I really couldn't find a scraper, so I'm left using this. Look at this stuff. It's just it's hard packed stuff. Unfortunately, this stuff picked up all that hydraulic fluid I just spilled, mostly. At least that really bad smell is gone. It actually smells pretty neutral in here now. There was a ton of like paper or rags shoved under the dry motors, and those things are what smelled really bad. All right, so we'll, you know, I should try leaving that light there, seeing if it shorts out or not. It's on a ground fault circuit, so it's not like it's gonna do anything bad, but it's really helpful. I can see so good in there. Anyway, I'm just gonna give this a once more over. And then I got to get just a few random pieces here. We'll clean those up, and then I think we'll be about done. Now there's a lot of stuff on here that the pressure washer is not really taken off. This black stuff, I think it's like it's tar or something. It's really stuck on there, like it would have to be scraped off. Okay, I think everything had a chance to dry out in here. So I think we're good. Pretty happy with how clean it is. I don't think it's gonna get much better. So just to give you an idea how dirty it was, like that silver box there, which is like the case drain for a lot of stuff, that was completely covered. In fact, like the tops of these hoses were also covered in dirt. So it was basically solid dirt. I mean, that's about 6 or 8 inches drop right there. That was solid dirt all the way back with that hard pack stuff. So it's all gone. Probably removed a couple 100 pounds. And I pressure washed the pavement out here, but I'm gonna have to dig a lot of this out and get it out of the ground. And then all this, I'm gonna have to shovel up. It's pretty bad in there. There are a couple of trouble spots here that I couldn't really get. So like in here and up in here, there's just, couldn't get the wand in there. I did as best as I could, but it's really thick grease. So it is what it is. I'm not gonna mess any more time with that. And then the hardest part, which the pressure washer is not gonna help with, is in here. There's these pockets. These pockets go up and they actually feed the hydraulics for the arms. They come up through like this passage here. But down here, it's a pretty much empty space. I think you can put like counterweights or something in there, but it's empty on this machine. There is a little drain hole that I found. Well, you probably can't see it, but it's up in there. And guess what? It's plugged up on both of them. So I needed just basically taking my hand here and digging this out. I did find that crescent wrench in there, so it's kind of paying off for me. This stuff's pretty gross. It only took me about 45 minutes. I got it all out. It was really only, about 2.5 gallons worth of material. Not too bad. Okay, so now to replace this hose. That silver container there, it looks like the case drains of the drive motors go into it, along with this hose, which goes to the hydraulic tank, and that's the one that I think that's leaking. So I'm a little bit worried when I pull, it's this hose here, when I get that out, it's gonna just be dumping fluid. So I'm gonna be ready with a plug for that. There's also like a drain on there. You see that little brass plug? And it just goes up. I wonder if that's for draining the hydraulic fluid, like if you wanna drain the entire system. Come on now. You probably could rig up like a vacuum cleaner or something in the hydraulic tank if you were really smart, and I'm not that smart. You ready? Oh yeah, it wants to come out. Here we go. That's ready. Okay. Whoa, not bad. Which is good because I totally fumbled it. Get you out of here. Stop it. Stop spitting. All right, well, pardon the mess. My shop's a complete disaster at the moment. I'm sure no one else has that same problem. Let's measure this. Now, I think I had mentioned, was it on this video? I think so. I think this is just 2-wire hose. It was like 1500 PSI. Dash 12 fittings, this is a straight, and then that's a 90. Now this is Caterpillar hose. I'm not gonna get all fancy with that kind of stuff. Oh, is that my drill? That thing was on there. This is a pretty flexible hose. So this is the only hose I have on hand that'll work. So this is the same Dash 12 hose, 3/4 inch. This is a 4-wire hose. It's good up to 3000 PSI working pressure. But if you want to geek out about hydraulic hoses for a second, this is SAE 100 R16, which is supposed to have half the bend radius of normal 4-wire and normal 2-wire hose. So this is you can really bend this hose. So this stuff should work pretty well. We're using a 100 R16 hose, Dash 12. This is a braided hose fitting. And so we're going to 30 millimeters as the crimp diameter. Okay. Should probably make sure this light works. The battery still works. 30.2 millimeters. All right, we'll call that good. To there. There's a lot of junk left behind on these. Okay, I think we want to go through that. I think we wanted to go. Nothing's bubbling out. That's a good sign. Let's clean that pink stuff out. It's not going to do us any favors when we try to seal this. You know, if I hadn't spent 4 hours cleaning this machine out, can you imagine having to replace the hose on it? Like, what would you even do if you were a mechanic called out to fix this machine? Would you just tell him sorry? Or would you just quote him a huge amount of money to wash it? This hose is really fighting me. Oh, I think I got it started. Oh yeah. Okay. You probably can't see this at all, but it started. I can't stress how much we really don't want this line to leak, because it's not going to be an easy job once the engine's in. Okay, so I think this is, ready to go back. Now these hoses are so clean, I don't even remember which was the one that was leaking. I think it was this one. Got a couple different sizes of clamps here. You know, worst case scenario here is when I take this top one off, it just starts dumping fluid. So let me get this a little bit tighter. This is definitely the one that's leaking though. Alright guys, so I've looked at this thing for a while. I don't see any cracks on the hose. It is a little bit hard, like it's like an older one. This would be an easy hose to replace, even with the engine back in, because I can do it right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on and see if it leaks. If it leaks, then I'll just replace the hose. But this is kind of a low risk situation here. Let's clean up this battery tray area. Is that rust or just, that's just grease there. A little bit of this stuff. This is gonna have to sit overnight. I can see it working already. Clean up some of this spill. Now this is the first day of the year where I've come out to work after my kids are in bed and the sun's still up. It's a nice sign. It's as though the OSFO has ossified or whatever it does. Okay, we're trying out Farm and Implement Caterpillar Yellow. Let's see how it looks compared to the old paint. Stuff's kind of expensive. Not too bad. Obviously the old stuff's going to be super faded. Okay, I did pick up all new motor mounts. White stuff. Ooh. Let me find some grease or something to put on here. I'll just use tire lube since I have a ton of it. That's much better. Here. The way this originally was supposed to go was this went through the top with this washer, and then this came up from the bottom, and you had this washer with this nut. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around just to make assembly a little bit easier. Good thing I put lube on it. There we go. So then I should hopefully be able to reach in here when the engine's installed and push this up and then throw a nut on. We'll find out. Next thing, and this is probably the last thing, but this hose that I just replaced and the one behind it, which go to the fan, I'd like to see some hose protection on this stuff just because it's already pushing up against this mount and it's not going to get any better. Okay, that looks a little bit better, maybe. Okay, so on the engine mounts, I made a couple modifications from the last video. First of all, I cut the hole for this and slotted it. This was kind of a planned addition. And then on this, I cut off probably a good solid 1/2 inch from the bottom of this spacer plate. And so these should be ready to go on. I got quite a few good suggestions on like better ways to do the engine mounts, which I agree with, but I just kind of went for the easiest and simplest thing. Still not sure how well these will work, we'll see, but I have a fairly good feeling they'll be okay. So last thing to fix before I install the engine is this gap right here between the cover and the flywheel housing. Now this cover does actually fit snug into the flywheel housing. It's just the ridge on the cover is a little bit too long, so there's a gap right here, which will be a problem, I'm pretty sure. I did manage to find a washer that fits in here very well. It's somewhat loose around here, but when you get close to where the bolt's snugged in, it gets pretty tight. So we just need to kind of go through and snug all these washers in here. There was actually a lot of variation on these washers from washer to washer. So I did kind of go through and cherry pick ones that were close to each other. By the way, this engine's been stuck on this cherry picker for a while now, and this is kind of what's holding me back on the excavator. I need the cherry picker to move some excavator parts out of the garage. So once this engine's in, kind of frees up a lot of stuff. Should work. Now I haven't tried this before with the engine mounts. Looks like we're gonna have to go up and then down. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to make a couple adjustments here. Okay, oh, that helped, okay. A little bit tight. Okay. I think if I work it in like a very carefully, I can finagle it past these lines. Oh, that's not a good sound. It's too high. Oh, it's really close. I think this might work. You can't see any of this, but it's looking good, kind of. Not really, but it's getting there. I don't like that sound. Okay, we're past it. I think, oh. Okay, I see the problem. Okay, so these two steel lines, there and there, are the interference. I think we can get by without removing this one. It's like goes down right there. You could maybe come up underneath, but this just the angle of this engine is kind of screwy right now. You're probably asking why I'm not using a load leveler. I have a load leveler, but the problem is it's too long, and then the back of it hits right here. So you basically, what I did last time is I kind of got it in a stopping spot, and then I would move the hook onto a different chain link to kind of level it that way. But there's no way to level it on the fly easily. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the engine back out and remove these two lines, that one and that one, and then we'll try this again. I think this is gonna work though. Let that drain for a sec. All right, well, got a few more O-rings to replace. Just let this drain out for a little bit into that mess. Oh yeah, way more room now. Okay, we're getting there. Oh man. Just gotta get it around this wiring. Ah. Oh yeah. Okay. I think this is gonna work. All right, well, the engine's about halfway engaged with the pump. I had a really rough time getting it in this time. I guess I'm just pure dumb luck how I got it in so quick last time. I was really struggling with this thing for a couple hours. So the one thing that actually ended up helping quite a bit is I got the bore scope here, and it's stuck into the flywheel housing. So you can see the tooth engagement. And it's like I said, it's a little bit more than halfway in right now. But the one thing that really helped, because this is really a two-person job and I was out here by myself. But if you look at the teeth, this side there's a little bit more tooth engagement and this side is less. So basically before the teeth touch that, you have to change the angle of the engine and the pump and get that so it looks really lined up. And then you can start, and then at that point you can start trying to shove the engine in and wiggling it in place. And every once in a while I would give this a little turn. And eventually you see it pop in here on the camera, and then you know you're good. But this was really a struggle. I'm glad it's over. Okay, pump's completely all the way on. Just check the thrust, that looks good. So I think we're ready for the front mount, and then we can finally get the cherry picker out of here. So I got it here. So I ended up fully welding this thing. It's not the prettiest, but it'll work. Let's see if we can sneak her in. Goes like this, right? Oh, it's so close. Let's see. You could take the bumper off, but I'm way too lazy to do that right now. Move the engine back a little bit. This. Ooh, that might have been the trick. Let's see. That might have been it. Yeah, that's a way better way of doing it. Okay, let's call that. Okay, so that goes in there. Goes in there. Actually, before I bolt this, do I want to bolt the sides first? Maybe I should at least get the bolts started on the sides. These actually ended up going in pretty easily. How close are we? Ooh. Needs to slide back about a quarter of an inch, which it should be able to do. And there is some adjustability on the rear mounts there. Little adjustment. There it is. Aha. Okay. Yeah. So on these mounting bolts here, I can get this in. You can just perfectly fit a box wrench up in here and capture it. As I thought. There we go. Yeah, see that? I was kind of wondering how that was going to do that, so I'm glad that works. Okay, well, it's officially in. No real drama. Everything's lots of clearance around everything. You can see even like back here, I think that's better than the old engine. And yeah, there's really only one issue, which is the angle iron. It's not touching, but it's pretty dang close. It's like a 16th, maybe, yeah, about a 16th of an inch away, which is not good. So we need to fix that. The other side's about the same. Fortunately, that should be a pretty easy fix. In fact, I was kind of planning for it, because really all I have to do is just jack up the back a little bit. I got these washers. These are probably an 1/8 of an inch thick. So I might just throw one in, we'll see. But all I need to do is undo this bolt and slide it under here, and we should be good to go. This is obviously something you can get away with because the pump is only mounted to the engine. There's no other mounting for it. If you were going to try that in a car or something, you'd have problems because it would throw all your angles off. But for this, it should be completely fine. See that top. Shouldn't have to undo the front mount. Let's see if I can sneak a washer in there. That'll work. Done. Okay, mounting bolts are back on. Looking a lot better. It's actually closest in the front there. When you get further back, it's further away, but I think that's going to be fine. That's probably like 3/16 of an inch. By the way, while I'm here, if you remember in the last video, that section I cut off of the flywheel housing, well, you can see right there, it would be hitting. So it's probably good I did that. The other concern in the last video was this oil drain hose down here that I put into the oil pan, and it's close, but it's not touching. It's probably about, once again, 1/8 of an inch. So we'll keep an eye on that to see, make sure like when it's vibrating, it's not hitting that, but I think that'll be okay. Okay, in the cab here. So next up, we got a couple things to do. The first, let's see if I can reach this. There's a ground strap that originally was on this bolt right here. So I'll have to put that in. It's probably important. And then there's a couple hoses I disconnected from the pump. Like I think that was one. Looks like we're missing one right here, and then this big one. So I need to reconnect those before I forget. Oh, this must be the one this one goes up into there. So there's only 3 hoses, I think. Obviously I can't really film any of this. It's pretty cramped in here. I'm pretty stuffed in here right now. So I'm gonna do this real quick before my knees give out. You know, now that I see it in here, I might be able to actually use this fill filter. This is the original one that I thought I was gonna have to take off, but definitely a good idea to take this off when the engine was getting installed, but all right, well, after looking through the parts book here, it turns out Caterpillar doesn't make any of their own parts anymore. And this is made by a company called, I think, Rexroth made this one. It's pretty common. They make a lot of them for like Case and a couple other companies. See, I have the parts manual here, but there's nothing in here that helps you. It's basically, they just call out a new part number for this thing, and you have to just go buy the whole unit from Cat, which I think was $1,334.01 for this. So we're gonna go ahead and take it apart, and then I will try to contact Rexroth. I mean, most of the O-rings we'll be able to just source, but there's probably gonna be some specialty seals that are inside these plungers. So we'll just kind of have to take it apart and see, and then I'll try to get a hold of this company. Is this whole thing gonna be spinning on here? It's gonna throw all the adjustments off. Let me go ahead and mark this so I can kind of put it in the same orientation again. Okay, you got 3 punches there. How do you suppose that comes off? Is this threaded in? No. All right, maybe you have to start back here then. There's a bolt in there. There's a bolt, 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 and that's it. Is there one on the top? Okay, it did nothing. Oh, wait. That was it. Okay. Got some O-rings in here, as one would expect. We should probably find a way to keep all these things straight. Let's see here. Oh, so all these bolts on the side, they look like they adjust. I don't know if you can see that. They adjust the ports in there. So as this turns, it turns this port in there. So that must be some kind of adjustment thing. We definitely don't want to mess with that. So all we're dealing with is this. Does it come off here? This looks like it's threaded on there. Okay. I'm glad I saw that. This whole thing is about to fall out the bottom. That would have been bad. Okay, well there's an E. Looks like that's an E stamped right here on the top. So we'll call that, looking at it this way, that'll be our 12 o'clock position. There's a plunger right there. So we got 12, 3, 6, and 9. So this is just mostly for me, but 12, 3, 6, and 9. Oh, this thing is spring-loaded here a little bit. Okay, well that's not going to do me much good because the E was on here. So let me put a little punch marker right here too. Okay, 12 o'clock. I feel like this top part needs to come out, but I don't see how. Uh-oh. Okay, that was what was this? 3, 6, 9. So how does this come off of here? Oh, there's a little hex in there, I think. Yep. All right, I broke it free on the bench. I want to mark this. Going to want to keep track of where everything goes, by the way. So on this mark that I made where it lined up with the other housing, I put a 1, and then a 2, 3, 4. And then over in here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, to kind of keep track of where stuff goes. But this plate, I don't want to, I want to keep in the same spot. So there's a serial number here. So we'll just make a note here that that lines up with the number 2 side. Put that over there. This is anything like the pilot controls on the Hitachi. These brass little plugs just kind of pop out. That popped out pretty easy. Maybe we should just try channel locks. So this is number 4. I'll look at these in a second. Ooh. I should take that out. So, that's 2. 1. Okay, that's it. Not much to this thing. Oh, another O-ring over here. Oh, and another O-ring right there. Not sure how this is captive in here. Oh, and there's an O-ring on there. That's what I was figuring. It's really brown. There's this hard plastic thing. This looks reusable though. All right, so in here, got this plunger, which I'll have to look these over really closely, make sure there's no scratches on them. We got, this is the outer seal. Yeah, and then there's an inner seal here. Here we go. Okay, that's all there is to this thing. That's actually, is this just a, oh, there's a, okay. I thought it was just like an O-ring, but it's not. It's an actual seal. So this is going to be the hard thing to find. I mean, everything else is just O-rings, but this is going to be the challenge, unless I can contact this Rexroth company and find a kit. Let's also pay close attention how this goes back together. So this just goes here. Is this, I can just leave all this on. I don't need to take this retainer off. And this goes here. So this is for you, future Matt. It was pretty easy finding all the O-rings. These are all the new ones. I just measured them and found them on McMaster. I held them up, the old ones, they look pretty good. The hard part was finding these seals. The company that makes this thing, of course, never got back to me. So it took me a long time to find these online. But here they are. So the dimensions of these are pretty much perfect. It's about the same design. This is the new one here. You can see there's like a little lip in there. These are meant for high pressure hydraulic application, so they should be good. We'll give these a shot. They came, I had to order these from a company in France, so they did take a while to get here. They cost me $20 each, not including shipping. But literally, it was the only thing I could find that was even close. And the dimensions do add up. I guess let's get started on reassembling this. If I remember how, it's been several weeks. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I assume you want the lip to be on the bottom. Use this as a... It just seems so crazy to me that Cat makes this a non-serviceable part and you're just supposed to throw the whole thing in the dumpster. Oh, it's in. Let's fit through. Ooh, that's tight. That's probably how you want it though. By the way, if you have an old Cat skid steer about this vintage, I'm assuming they all use the same part numbers and seals for this stuff. So if you have a leaking one, hit me up and I can assemble more of these seal kits. I have all the part numbers and dimensions now, assuming this works. I can put it up on the merch store if anyone wants one. Okay, so that's one. It's got the seal in it, so we got to go I think that goes in there like that. Okay, yeah, and then the spring fell at the bottom, that's right. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I remember this serial number was facing that way. And that went in there. Oh. There was a little bit of grease on this U-joint. Maybe we should re-grease that. There we go. Okay. how did this go? I think there was a notch in here, right? That E there goes with a punch there. Is there any O-rings? Looks like an O-ring goes there. I do see a very slight mark here, like it might be the O-ring goes there. Maybe I'll have to watch back a video or something. So that O-ring, that's so obvious that it goes right there. I don't know what I was thinking before. This one goes in here. These in here. You gotta get these little pistons like lined up in these holes. It's kind of hard. There we go. Okay. Okay. I think that's good. And then I think this holds it all together. I think that's good. No O-rings popped out. All right, I tightened that down in the vise, so that should be good. Let's use a little. These are liable to pop out here. At least one or two of them will, so that's what the grease is for. It kind of helps hold them in place till it's together. Yeah. Keep an eye on this while we're doing it. There we go. All right, just a couple quick notes. When I was pressure washing the machine, I found this kind of floating around the bottom, and I'm pretty sure it's just the same exact one as this, like even the wires are the same color. So and maybe they just replaced the joystick at some point. I don't know why, or they just ripped it out and this broke off. So I'm not gonna worry about that. I did order new boots for both joysticks, and the parts manual calls for two different part numbers. This is a 1730702 and this is an 0703, but I pulled them out, they're exactly the same. There's no difference between these two. But I think you're supposed to wait, you're supposed to screw these in first and then put the boot on, and then put the joystick on. So it's just okay. It's a lot easier to get in with the armrests out. This is probably one of those things where you don't want to rush it and bend pins. Do the cotter pin on this side so it's easier to take out for the next guy, which is hopefully not me. Okay. Easy. Easy. Oh, so much easier without the armrest. Where's this going? Go. Look at that. We got floors again. It just all goes through here. You can run the electrics in there. Go about there. It's almost like, I think the hydraulics should actually go through this little hole because it's kind of binding up. I'm a little bit happier doing it like that. Oh yeah, that's way better. Okay. Okay. So this is the front. Can you pass this? I forget how this goes in here. Can you pass this up in here? Oh, you can. Okay, great. This is gonna be easy then. So I can just do all the hydraulics here and then shove it up in there. Because it's really hard to get, it's really hard to fit in here with a wrench, especially underneath. Take this off. Oh, how are you supposed to get this tight? Of course, these aren't going to swivel either once it's on. It's probably going to be a problem. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to go through and make sure those are actually tight. Yep, not tight. This thing's going to want to rotate though, which was... Yeah, these aren't swiveling. I kind of knew this was going to happen. Just get it in here and maybe I can readjust it. Alright, we got the trick figured out here. You got to pull it all the way through, and then you can get to these fittings here and loosen and tighten them. So I'm gonna have to loosen all these because this thing needs to rotate 90. Okay, I got all of them except for that last hose in. Just remember how this goes in here. Yeah. This needs to come. Yeah, that in there. Okay, last hose. All right. I'm going to leave this front cover off for a while just to make sure it's not leaking. It's kind of hard getting all these tight with respect to each other. This just tucks. There's just supposed to be a big zip tie that holds this on. Oh no. All right, it's on. This one was a lot easier, partly because I know what I'm doing, but also because the other one has a larger hose on it, like a -8, but these are all -4s, so it's a lot easier to get a wrench in here. So I think what I'm going to do, since I got some time, is I'm going to do one more pressure washing. That way I can come back in a day and see if it's leaking at all, so I can see what's fresh and what's just assembly spillage. Okay. Go. By the way, I'm sure a few of you have noticed this, and it occurred to me a while ago, but if you just wanted to replace the seals in this, it's a very easy repair. All you have to do is take the joystick off and then take this nut off, then the U-joint comes out, and then the black plate comes off, and then you can just pull these plungers right out and replace the seals and push them back in. So a really easy repair if that was all you had to repair. You know, live and learn. I kind of wish I would have known about that before. By the way, when I was washing this thing, I found this logbook in it, and this is like a pre-checklist that they kept at whatever company this was. I went through, most of it just says pre-op okay, but there was a couple in here where it said they replaced something. So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it got all wet and there's not much left. This is engine odometer. So we're up to 3,000 hours here. This is probably towards the end. So 3,000 hours on June 2021. This is December 2020. Someone at least pretended to check it out every time they used it, but I mean, clearly they never cleaned it. Okay, well, I think we can end the video there. Got a lot done this time. Let this dry out, and then we'll just come back tomorrow and check it for any leaks. I'm like 90% sure that hose is still gonna leak, so I already ordered a new one. And I just need to figure out how to, I guess, drain all the hydraulic fluid so you can replace it without making a huge mess. But it was so hard when I took that clamp off. I'm pretty sure it's gonna leak. I'm gonna leave these two panels and that off for now, just to keep an eye out for leaks. I did have to go and dig out a lot of this soil that got crap all over it. It's okay. And I kind of washed in here too because I spilled some fluid in here, but yeah, pretty happy with how this thing fits. I think it's gonna be, I think everything's gonna fit pretty nice in here. I guess we'll find out in the next video. Speaking of the next video, I think we're gonna have this up and running. There's really only a few things left. Let me think. I have to do the fuel system, the throttle cable, the intake and the exhaust, and I guess the electrical, which should all be pretty easy stuff to do. Everything's kind of close to where it was originally, so it should be pretty simple just to breeze through that. You might be wondering why I'm not painting and cleaning this thing up like I normally do. Well, one, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually keep this machine. I'll have to see how it works for me. But also, I'm kind of in a hurry to use it. I have a lot of work for it to do. So I'm just kind of doing the bare minimum, cleaning it up and making it reliable, hopefully. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you're wondering about the excavator, a big problem I was having is that the engine hoist was in use holding the engine for the skid steer, and I really needed to move the swing device and a couple other parts out so I could install them. So that kind of put me on hold for that, but now that it's free, I should be able to get back to the excavator. I also need to start working on finishing the tree house, so I'm actually starting on that right now too. So in the springtime here, there's a lot of projects going on. I also lost my job a few months ago, and fortunately I found a new one just recently. It starts in like 2 weeks, so I'm rushing through doing as much as I can before that job starts. So needless to say, I have been a little bit busy, but I am plugging through and hoping to finish up this skid steer really quickly. So thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.